The stars looked different today, and Commander Hyun-sik knew why as he stood on the bridge of the human ship, Sejong watching the massive alien vessels approach through the darkness of space. 3 enormous ships moved toward the outer colonies of human space, and each one was 10 times bigger than anything humans had ever built. Or so the aliens thought as they came closer with their hulls gleaming like polished metal under the distant starlight. Hyun-sik turned to his tactical advisor, Hyun-ji, who was studying the readings on her screen with careful eyes that missed nothing important about their visitors. "They are scanning us again," she said quietly, while her fingers moved across the control panel. "The same patterns as before, but deeper this time." The communications officer Tae-won looked up from his station where alien signals filled his displays with strange symbols and sounds that the translation computers were still trying to understand. "Commander, they are requesting permission to come aboard our ship for what they call a proper meeting," Tae-won said as he adjusted his headset. "They sound very confident about how this will go." Hyun-sik nodded slowly because this was exactly what Earth Command had prepared them for during months of secret planning and careful preparation that no alien scanner could detect. The first contact protocols were simple on the surface, but much more complex underneath where the real work happened in hidden systems and encrypted channels that connected every human ship to the home world through quantum links the aliens had never seen before. "Tell them we welcome their visit," Hyun-sik said, while he watched the alien ships position themselves around the small human fleet. "Like predators surrounding prey, make sure they understand we are honored by their presence." The largest alien ship was called the Dominance according to their transmissions, and it belonged to something called the Galactic Council that ruled over thousands of worlds and billions of creatures across this part of the galaxy. From this ship came a small transport that carried the alien delegation toward the Sejong, while human sensors recorded every detail about their technology and weapons, and defenses that would be very useful later when the time came for truth. The transport docked with a sound like thunder, and soon the airlock opened to reveal creatures that looked nothing like humans, but carried themselves with the pride of those who had conquered many worlds. The first alien was tall and thin with 4 arms and skin like black metal that reflected the lights of the corridor as it walked toward them with movements that seemed almost like dancing. Behind this creature came another that looked like living crystal with facets that caught the light and threw it back in rainbow patterns, while its voice sounded like music made of broken glass when it spoke. "I am Admiral Vextar of the Kethtar Empire," the first alien said through a translator device that made its words sound flat and cold. "This is Subcommander Kailana of the Velnari Hegemony." Hyun-sik stepped forward with his hands open and empty in the universal gesture of peaceful greeting that worked. With most species according to the cultural databases Earth had been building for decades, "Welcome aboard the Sejong," he said with just the right amount of respect and nervousness that would make the aliens think humans were simple and afraid. "I am Commander Hyun-sik of the Human Colonial Defense Fleet." The word colonial was very important because it suggested that humans were spread thin across many worlds with limited resources and outdated equipment that could never threaten anyone. Important Admiral Vextar looked around the bridge of the Sejong with eyes that missed nothing as it studied the human technology with the casual interest of someone examining primitive tools in a museum. "Your species is new to this region," Vextar said while its 4 arms moved in patterns that might have been gestures of dismissal. "The Council has decided to evaluate your potential for membership in our organization." Subcommander Kailana stepped forward, and her crystalline body caught the bridge lights in ways that were almost hypnotic as she spoke in her musical voice. "We have observed your colonies and your ships," she said with sounds like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. "Your technology is adequate for your current level of development." The word adequate hit exactly the right tone because it suggested that humans were barely worth the attention of such advanced beings who ruled the galaxy with wisdom and power. Yoonji moved slightly closer to her station where she could record everything the aliens said and did while appearing to be just another nervous human officer, overwhelmed by contact with superior beings. "We are grateful for your interest," Hyun-sik said, while he tried to look impressed by their technology and intimidated by their presence. "What would membership in your council require from humanity?" Admiral Vextar made a sound that the translator interpreted as amusement, while its 4 arms spread wide in a gesture that took in the entire bridge, and everything beyond it. Your species would provide raw materials from your worlds, Vextar explained like a teacher speaking to slow students. Your people would serve as workers in our industrial facilities, and your ships would transport goods, where we direct them. The terms were exactly what Earth Command had expected, because the Council had used the same approach with hundreds of other species over thousands of years. With great success, Sub-Commander Kylana added her own musical voice to the conversation as her crystal body shifted colors from blue to purple to gold, in patterns that seemed random but probably carried meaning. In return, the Council would protect your worlds from hostile forces, she said with the tone of someone offering a great gift. Your people would benefit from our advanced knowledge and superior technology. Taiwan continued monitoring alien communications, while pretending to focus only on translation duties as streams of data flowed through hidden channels to analysis centers that the visitors would never detect. The aliens spent several hours touring the Sejong and examining human equipment with the casual interest of experts evaluating primitive machinery that might have some limited usefulness. They asked many questions about human population and industrial capacity and military strength, while Hyun-sik provided answers that were technically true but created completely wrong impressions. How many ships does your fleet contain? Admiral Vextar asked while examining a human weapon that looked crude compared to alien technology, but worked well enough for simple tasks. The Colonial Defense Fleet has 347 vessels. Hyun-sik replied with the exact truth because that number was accurate for the ships the aliens had been allowed to observe. What he did not mention was that the Colonial Defense Fleet was exactly what its name suggested, a small force designed to protect remote settlements from pirates and asteroids, and other minor threats. The real military forces of humanity remained hidden in places the aliens had never thought to look, using technology that made their ships invisible to Council sensors and detection methods. Sub-Commander Kylana examined human computer systems with her crystalline fingers moving across displays while streams of apparently harmless data flowed past her awareness, carrying information she could never understand. Your computational systems are simple but functional, she announced with musical tones that suggested mild approval mixed with condescension. They will serve adequately for basic administrative tasks. The aliens completed their inspection after 6 hours, during which every word and gesture and scan was recorded by human systems that appeared much less sophisticated than they actually were. The Council will deliberate on your species, Admiral Vextar announced as the alien delegation prepared to return to their ship. You will receive our decision within 30 standard galactic rotations. The translation made it clear that humans had 30 days to wait, while the Council decided whether humanity would become a member species or something much less pleasant. We understand, Hyun-sik said with appropriate humility. While inside, he counted down the hours until these aliens learned what humans could really do when properly motivated. The alien transport departed from the Sejong, with its passengers convinced that they had seen everything important about human capabilities and found nothing that could threaten the established order of galactic civilization. As soon as the aliens were gone, Hyun-sik activated Protocol 7, which sent a quantum-encrypted message directly to Earth Command through channels that no Council technology could intercept or decode. Phase 1 complete, he transmitted, along with detailed recordings of everything the aliens had said and done during their visit. Beginning Phase 2 preparations. Immediately, Yoonji looked up from her analysis station where she had been processing alien technology scans and behavioral patterns with the help of computers that were far more advanced than anything the visitors had suspected. They think we are exactly what they expected to find, she reported with satisfaction in her voice. Primitive newcomers with limited resources and no real understanding of how the galaxy actually works. The alien ships moved away from human space carrying reports that would soon reach the Council chambers where important decisions were made about the fate of entire civilizations. But they had no idea that their every move was being tracked by sensors they could not detect, and that their communications were being monitored by systems they did not know existed. The galaxy was about to learn that underestimating humanity was a mistake that would change everything forever. President So-young stood before the massive viewing screen in the emergency council chamber, deep beneath the surface of Earth, where the most important decisions in human history were about to be made. The chamber was filled with the most powerful people in human space, including Fleet Admiral Ji-hoon, whose weathered face showed no emotion as he reviewed reports from the alien and counter-defense minister Kun-woo, sat at the curved table that dominated the center of the room, while holographic displays showed the positions of every known alien ship within 50 light-years of human territory. The Council believes they have seen our entire military capability. So-young announced to the assembled leaders, whose faces remained calm, despite the magnitude of what they were discussing. They counted exactly what we wanted them to count. Admiral Ji-hoon replied as he gestured toward a display showing the 347 ships of the Colonial Defense Fleet. Old vessels with obvious limitations and predictable weaknesses. The Colonial Defense Fleet had been carefully designed to look like the best humanity could manage, with limited resources and primitive technology that barely qualified for interstellar travel. Every ship in that fleet was at least 20 years old, with fusion drives that produced visible exhaust trails and weapons that required multiple hits to damage heavily armored targets. Dr. Min Seo entered the chamber through a door that sealed automatically behind her while she carried data tablets containing information that could reshape the balance of power in the galaxy. The alien scans detected exactly what our stealth systems allowed them to detect, she reported as she took her seat at the IO council table. Their sensors found primitive computers and simple weapons and propulsion systems that matched their expectations. What the alien scanners had not detected were the quantum processing cores hidden within those primitive computers, or the gravitational manipulation systems disguised as simple fusion reactors. Fleet Admiral Ji-hoon stood and activated a holographic display that filled the center of the chamber with images that would have shocked the alien delegation beyond their ability to comprehend. The real fleet has been waiting for this moment for 37 years, he announced as the display showed thousands of ships that existed in dimensional fold space where alien sensors could never find them. The images revealed vessels that dwarfed anything in the Colonial Defense Fleet, with hull designs that incorporated technology the Council had never encountered, and weapons that could tear apart planets if necessary. Phase construction began the moment our deep space monitors first detected alien transmissions, Dr. Min Seo explained while the displays showed research facilities hidden throughout the solar system. We have been preparing for contact since before most of these Council species achieved faster than light travel. The story of human preparation began decades earlier, when automated monitoring stations detected structured radio signals from distant star systems that could only come from advanced civilizations. Earth governments had immediately classified these discoveries at the highest levels, while scientists and engineers began the most important project in human history. Project Looking Glass gave us 37 years to study their communications, Min Seo continued, as new displays showed vast databases filled with alien language patterns and cultural information. We learned their military doctrines and tactical preferences and technological limitations. The aliens used energy weapons that could be neutralized, with properly configured magnetic fields, and their shields operated on frequencies that human engineers had learned to disrupt. Their faster-than-light drives left quantum signatures that could be tracked across interstellar distances, and their computer systems used encryption methods that human quantum processors could break in minutes. They never suspected that a primitive species could be monitoring their communications. Defense Minister Kun-woo observed with grim satisfaction, the Council has grown arrogant after thousands of years of unopposed expansion. Admiral Ji-hoon changed the display to show the real human fleet in all its terrifying glory, as ships materialized from fold space around hidden construction facilities that had been building vessels for decades. The smallest ships in the real fleet were larger than the biggest vessels in the Colonial Defense Fleet, and they carried weapons that could destroy entire battle groups with single volleys. The Sejong-class dreadnoughts alone carry more firepower than the entire Colonial Defense Fleet, Ji-hoon explained, while the display showed massive vessels bristling with weapons that existed only in Council nightmares. Each dreadnought was 3 kilometers long with armor that could absorb direct hits from Council battleship weapons and shields that operated on principles the aliens had never discovered. The turtle ship platforms are mobile fortresses, Dr. Minseo added as the display showed even larger vessels that looked like small moons bristling with weapons and defensive systems. Each one can hold off an entire Council fleet while our attack ships eliminate their support vessels. But the most impressive ships were the Ghost class, stealth destroyers that could appear anywhere without warning and disappear before enemy weapons could lock onto them. These vessels used quantum phase-shifting technology that made them effectively invisible to all known detection methods while their adaptive armor could reconfigure itself to resist different types of weapons. Our manufacturing capacity exceeds anything the Council has encountered, Kun Wu reported as displays showed automated shipyards hidden throughout the outer solar system. We can produce vessels faster than they can destroy them. The alien delegation had seen only the tiny shipyards that serviced the colonial defense fleet, while the real production facilities remained hidden behind stealth fields and dimensional barriers. President So-young listened to these reports with the calm expression of someone who had been preparing for this moment throughout her entire political career. The Council will demand our submission within 30 days, she announced to the chamber. They expect us to accept tributary status or face what they call pacification. The word pacification meant the systematic destruction of human military capability, followed by the occupation of all human worlds by Council forces. Their pacification fleets typically contain 2,000 ships, Admiral Ji-hoon reported, while consulting data that had been gathered over decades of careful observation. They believe this will be more than sufficient to overwhelm our primitive defenses. What the Council did not know was that human space contained over 50,000 military vessels hidden in fold space and stealth fields throughout dozens of star systems. The infiltration protocols are ready for activation, Dr. Minseo announced with a slight smile that suggested she was looking forward to seeing alien reactions. Our nanoscale infiltration drones have been integrating with their systems since the moment they entered human space. The aliens had been so focused on scanning human technology that they had never noticed the microscopic machines that attached themselves to their hulls and gradually worked their way into their computer systems. These infiltration drones were designed to remain completely passive until activation, when they would take control of alien weapons and turn them against their owners. Intelligence reports indicate the Council is mobilizing their third pacification fleet, reported a voice from the chamber communication system. Admiral Vextar will command the operation personally. President So-young stood and walked to the massive viewing screen that showed the blue marble of Earth floating peacefully in space, with no visible sign of the massive military preparations hidden throughout the system. 37 years of preparation, she said quietly, while her reflection looked back at her from the screen. 37 years of pretending to be weak while we built the most powerful military force in galactic history. The chamber fell, silent as everyone contemplated the magnitude of what they were about to unleash upon a galaxy that had grown comfortable with its established order. The Council believes they are dealing with another primitive species that will submit rather than face destruction. So-young continued as she turned back to face the assembled leaders. They have never encountered humans before. Dr. Minseo activated additional displays that showed weapon systems the aliens could not imagine, including gravitational torpedoes that could collapse stars and quantum disruptors that could tear holes in space itself. Our research teams have developed countermeasures for every known Council weapon system, she reported with professional pride. Their energy weapons will be ineffective and their shields will provide no protection. Admiral Ji-hoon added his own grim assessment of alien capabilities, as displays showed detailed analyses of every major Council ship class and their weaknesses. Their tactical doctrines have not changed in over 1,000 years, he observed. They rely on overwhelming firepower and superior numbers to achieve victory. What the Council had never faced was an enemy that had studied them for decades while developing technology specifically designed to neutralize their advantages. The Ghost Fleet has been shadowing Council movements throughout this region, reported Captain Insu, whose stealth ships had been gathering intelligence without detection for years. His vessels had observed Council military exercises and recorded their communications and mapped their supply lines while remaining completely invisible to alien sensors. We know the location of every Council base within 200 light-years. INSU Commander Hyun-sik returned to the alien flagship 3 weeks after their first meeting, carrying a message from Earth that would complete the most elaborate deception in galactic history. The dominance loomed enormous against the star field as the small human transport approached its docking bay, while hidden sensors recorded every detail of alien defensive systems and weapon positions. Admiral Vextar waited in the same conference chamber where they had first met, but this time the alien leader seemed less patient and more eager to conclude what it considered a simple matter. Your government has had sufficient time to consider our generous offer, Vextar announced with its forearms spread in a gesture that suggested barely controlled impatience. The Council requires an immediate response. Hyun-sik bowed his head in what appeared to be submission, while secretly activating recording systems that would transmit everything to the hidden human fleet. President So-young has asked me to request additional time for our people to prepare for integration into your Council, he said, with just the right amount of desperation in his voice. Our colonies are scattered across many systems and communication is difficult. The alien leader made that sound the translator called amusement, while Sub-Commander Kailana shifted from blue to red in patterns that probably indicated annoyance. Your primitive communication systems are not the Council's concern, Vextar replied with dismissive coldness. Your species will comply with our terms or face the consequences of defiance. To demonstrate these consequences, the alien fleet began what they called a weapons demonstration using uninhabited asteroids as targets for their most powerful weapons. Hyun-sik watched through the viewing ports as Council ships fired energy beams that could melt mountains and gravitational weapons that could crush entire moons into compressed matter. What the aliens did not know was that every weapon discharge was being analyzed by human systems that had been studying Council military technology for decades. Engineer Sung-ho stood quietly beside the viewing port while his hidden scanners recorded power outputs and charging cycles and shield configurations with precision the aliens could never imagine. Impressive display, Hyun-sik said with convincing awe, while his tactical implant transmitted detailed weapon specifications to human research facilities. Our defenses would be completely inadequate against such firepower. The demonstration continued for 3 hours as Council ships destroyed asteroid after asteroid with weapons that represented the pinnacle of their military technology. Sub-Commander Kailana gestured toward the destruction, with crystalline fingers that caught the light from the energy discharges. These are standard weapons carried by our patrol vessels, she announced. In her musical voice, the ships that will pacify your worlds carry weapons much more powerful. What she did not mention was that these same weapons had patterns and frequencies that human engineers had learned to counter using technology. The Council had never encountered. Strategist Yu Jin observed the demonstration with the calm expression of someone watching a training exercise, while her enhanced memory recorded every tactical detail. She noted that Council ships had to drop their shields when firing their most powerful weapons, and that their energy systems required several seconds to recharge between volleys. These were exactly the kind of weaknesses human commanders had been hoping to confirm during decades of theoretical analysis. Perhaps we could arrange a longer demonstration, Hyun-sik suggested with apparent nervousness. Our military leaders would benefit from understanding your capabilities. Admiral Vextar agreed, because showing overwhelming superiority was part of Council psychological warfare designed to break enemy morale before battles began. The extended demonstration lasted 2 full days, during which Council ships revealed weapon systems and defensive technologies that human intelligence had only theorized about. Hidden human sensors recorded everything, while quantum computers analyzed the data and transmitted countermeasures to the real fleet waiting in dimensional fold space. Dr. Min-seo received these transmissions in her research facility buried deep beneath the lunar surface, where the most advanced human weapons were being prepared for deployment. Their shield harmonics operate on exactly the frequencies we predicted, she reported to Admiral Ji-hoon through encrypted quantum channels. Our disruptor weapons will be completely effective. The alien weapons used coherent energy beams that could be deflected using properly configured magnetic fields, while their gravitational weapons required massive power generators that were vulnerable to targeted strikes. Their tactical formations have not changed since our first observations. Admiral Ji-hoon replied from his command center hidden within a modified asteroid. They still rely on overwhelming firepower rather than tactical innovation. Meanwhile, the Council fleet grew larger each day, as additional ships arrived to participate in what they expected would be a simple pacification operation. The aliens made no effort to conceal their preparations because they wanted humanity to see the futility of resistance against such overwhelming force. 2,300 vessels now, reported Captain Insu from his stealth destroyer that remained invisible among the alien fleet. Standard Council pacification doctrine with heavy cruisers and battleships. What the aliens did not detect were the 50,000 human ships that had begun moving into position throughout the solar system using stealth technology and fold space manipulation. Commander Se-Rum piloted her Dragon-class vessel through quantum tunnels that allowed instantaneous movement between distant points while remaining completely undetectable. Her ship and hundreds like it took positions around the alien fleet where they could strike without warning when the time came for revelation. Phase 3 positioning complete. She reported through channels the aliens could never intercept. All units ready for immediate deployment. The Council fleet commanders spent their time planning the systematic destruction of human military capability followed by the occupation of Earth and its colonies. They studied star charts and analyzed human population centers while discussing the most efficient methods for breaking human resistance. The species appears to have no significant military tradition, observed Fleet Commander Torvan during one of their planning sessions. Pacification should require minimal effort. These conversations were monitored by human intelligence systems that had been integrated into alien computer networks during their first visit to human space. Every alien plan and tactical decision was transmitted immediately to human commanders, who adjusted their own preparations accordingly. Admiral Ji-hoon reviewed these intercepts while standing before a holographic display that showed the true positions of both fleets. They plan to begin with orbital bombardment of our industrial facilities, he announced to his staff. Standard Council doctrine designed to eliminate resistance before ground operations begin. What the aliens did not know was that the facilities they planned to target were empty decoys, while the real human industry was hidden in locations they had never detected. Let them destroy the fake factories, suggested Defense Minister Kunwu during a secure conference call. The deception will be more convincing if they achieve some apparent success. President So-young agreed because human casualties would be minimal, while alien confidence would increase to dangerous levels. They must believe they are winning until the moment we reveal the truth, she decided while watching reports of alien fleet movements. Complete surprise is essential for maximum effect. Dr. Min Seo completed final preparations on the infiltration protocol that would turn alien weapons against their owners when the battle began. Nanoscale infiltration complete on 87% of enemy vessels, she reported with satisfaction. The remainder will be neutralized by conventional weapons. The infiltration drones had spread throughout the alien fleet like a microscopic plague that would activate at exactly the right moment. Commander Hyun-sik maintained his role as desperate human negotiator during daily meetings, with alien leaders who grew more impatient as the deadline approached. Our colonies are trying to organize evacuation procedures, he reported during one meeting, while secretly coordinating the final positioning of human forces. Many of our people have never left their homeworlds. Admiral Vextar dismissed human concerns with a gesture of its forearms, while Sub-Commander Kailana shifted to colors that indicated boredom. Evacuation will be unnecessary if your species submits immediately, Vextar announced. The Council requires only compliance, not destruction. But the alien fleet continued targeting practice using progressively larger asteroids while human sensors recorded every detail of their weapons and defenses. 24 hours remain, Admiral Vextar announced during the final meeting. Your species will surrender or face complete pacification. Hyunsik bowed deeply while activating the final sequence of Protocol 7 that would coordinate the revelation of humanity's true military capability. I will transmit your final ultimatum to Earth immediately, he promised while quantum signals raced toward human command centers throughout the solar system. As the human transport departed from the alien flagship for the last time, Hyunsik knew that the galaxy was about to witness something unprecedented in its long history. A species the Council had dismissed as primitive and helpless was the Council pacification fleet moved into attack formation around Earth, with the confidence of predators who had performed this same ritual thousands of times across the galaxy. Admiral Vextar stood on the bridge of the Dominance, watching the pathetic human defenses arrange themselves in defensive positions that would collapse within minutes. Begin the pacification protocol, Vextar commanded, while its 4 arms gestured toward the blue world that hung defenseless before the overwhelming might of Council firepower. The alien fleet consisted of 2,300 vessels, including massive battleships that could crack planets and destroyer squadrons designed to eliminate any resistance. Subcommander Kal-Anna shifted to deep red, patterns that indicated her eagerness to begin the destruction as her crystalline fingers moved across weapon control systems. Human communication frequencies are requesting negotiation, reported the Council communications officer. They appear to be offering unconditional surrender. Vextar made the sound that passed for laughter among its species, while watching human ships attempt to form defensive formations with obvious desperation. Too late for surrender, the alien commander decided. The Council has already committed resources to this pacification and examples must be made. What Admiral Vextar did not know was that Commander Hyunsik was no longer playing the role of desperate human negotiator, but had become something much more dangerous. This is Commander Hyunsik of the Human Defense Force, came the transmission from the small human flagship. I have a final message for the Galactic Council. The alien fleet prepared to ignore human communications and begin orbital bombardment when something unprecedented happened in Council military history. The message is not a surrender, Hyunsik announced with a voice that carried no trace of fear or desperation. The message is a revelation. Around Earth space began to shimmer and twist as massive shapes materialized from dimensional fold space where they had waited for decades. The first ship to appear was the Dreadnought Sol, which measured 5 kilometers in length and bristled with weapons that existed only in Council nightmares. Behind it came dozens more vessels of similar size, while the alien fleet watched in shock as their primitive enemy revealed technology that surpassed their own. Impossible, Admiral Vextar said, while its 4 arms trembled. As more human ships continued materializing throughout the solar system, our sensors detected only primitive vessels. Commander Seiram piloted her Dragon-class ship out of quantum tunnel space directly behind the alien flagship while her adaptive weapon systems locked onto critical targets. Her vessel was smaller than the massive dreadnoughts but carried experimental technology that could evolve its defenses in real time to counter any weapon. Ghost Fleet decloak now, Admiral Ji-hoon commanded. From his flagship New Sol as hundreds of stealth destroyers suddenly appeared throughout the alien formation. Captain In-soo led the first wave of ghost ships as they materialized inside the Council defensive perimeter, where no enemy vessels should have been able to penetrate. His stealth destroyer Invisible Strike appeared directly above the Dominance, while quantum torpedoes armed themselves for point-blank firing. Council fleet, you are completely surrounded, Admiral Ji-hoon announced through communication channels that somehow penetrated alien encryption. Your technological superiority was an illusion. The alien fleet tried to respond with their standard overwhelming firepower tactics, but discovered that their weapons were no longer under their control. Dr. Min-seo activated the infiltration protocol from her command center and watched with satisfaction as alien ships began firing on each other. Nanoscale infiltration complete, she reported, while alien vessels throughout the fleet lost control of their primary systems. Enemy weapons are now under our command. The Council battleship Supremacy fired its main gravitational cannon directly into the cruiser formation, while its crew frantically tried to regain control. Similar Scenes played out throughout the alien fleet as the infiltration drones that had been dormant for weeks suddenly took control of critical systems. Sub-Commander Kyle Anna watched in horror as her own vessel began targeting other Council ships, while her crystalline fingers found no response from the control systems. "This is not possible," she said in musical tones that indicated complete bewilderment. "No species has ever demonstrated such technical capability." Admiral Vextar ordered emergency protocols that should have isolated alien ships from the infiltration, but discovered that human technology was beyond Council understanding. Full defensive formation. Vextar commanded, but only half the alien fleet remained under Council control. While the others continued targeting their former allies, Commander Hyun-sik watched the chaos from his flagship, while human weapons demonstrated capabilities that made Council technology look primitive. "You believed you were facing 300 outdated ships," he announced to the alien fleet. "You were facing 50,000 vessels using technology you cannot comprehend." The massive turtle ship platforms emerged from fold space around the alien fleet, like mobile fortresses that could withstand anything Council weapons could deliver. Each platform was 10 kilometers across and carried enough firepower to destroy entire star systems, while their shields operated on principles the aliens had never discovered. "Gravitational torpedoes, armed and ready," reported Commander Dae-hyun from the platform Fortress Earth, targeting alien command vessels for selective elimination. The human weapons used principles of physics that Council science had never mastered, including the ability to collapse space itself into destructive singularities. "This is Admiral Ji-hoon of the Human Defense Force," came the announcement that echoed through both fleets. "Council vessels will stand down immediately or face complete destruction, Admiral." Vextar tried to order a fighting retreat but discovered that human ships had surrounded the alien fleet in 3 dimensions, using tactical coordination beyond anything in Council experience. "How long have you been preparing for this contact?" Vextar demanded through communication channels while watching Council vessels continue to destroy each other. 37 years. Hyun-sik replied with satisfaction as human dreadnoughts moved into attack positions around the alien fleet. "We detected your communications before your species achieved faster-than-light travel." The revelation that humanity had been monitoring and preparing for galactic contact for decades sent shockwaves through the alien command structure. Captain In-soo demonstrated ghost ship capabilities by phase-shifting his vessel directly through the hull of a Council destroyer without taking any damage. His ship materialized inside the alien vessel, where quantum disruptors tore apart critical systems before phase-shifting back to normal space. "Council shields are completely ineffective against our weapons," In-soo reported, while alien vessels throughout the fleet began losing primary power. Commander Se-ram engaged multiple alien ships simultaneously, while her Dragon-class vessel adapted its defenses to counter different weapon types. Her ship absorbed energy beam attacks and converted them into additional power, while gravitational weapons passed harmlessly through her quantum-shifted hull. "Adaptive defense systems operating at maximum efficiency," she reported while her weapons returned fire with precision that eliminated alien ships with single strikes. The alien fleet found itself completely outmatched by technology they had never encountered, and tactics they could not counter. "Impossible," Admiral Vextar repeated while watching human ships demonstrate capabilities that violated everything Council science believed about physics. Dr. Minseo monitored the battle from her command center. While human weapons systems performed exactly as designed after decades of careful development, enemy fleet cohesion collapsing, she reported with professional satisfaction. Infiltration protocols have eliminated 60% of their combat capability. The remaining Council vessels that were still under alien control tried to form defensive formations, but discovered that human ships could appear anywhere using quantum tunnel technology. "This is President So-young of the Human Federation," came a new transmission that reached every ship in both fleets. "The Council's reign of intimidation ends today." Admiral Vextar realized that the primitive species the Council had come to pacify was actually the most advanced military force in galactic history. "How is this possible?" the alien commander demanded while its forearms trembled with shock and fear. Your species was evaluated as technologically inferior. Your evaluation was exactly what we wanted you to believe, Admiral Jihoon replied while human dreadnoughts moved into final attack positions. The colonial defense fleet was a deliberate deception. The truth hit the alien fleet like a physical blow as they realized they had been manipulated from the moment of first contact. You wanted us to underestimate your capabilities, Sub-Commander Keelana said in musical tones that indicated complete understanding of their tactical mistake. Every species the Council has encountered made the same error, Commander Hyun-sik explained, while human ships maintained perfect formation around the trapped alien fleet. You assumed primitive appearance meant primitive capability. The battle was over before it had really begun, because human preparation and alien arrogance had created a situation where only one outcome was possible. Council fleet stands down immediately, Admiral Jihoon commanded while quantum torpedoes remained armed and ready throughout. The human formation. Surrender now or face complete Anne. The galaxy changed forever in the hours following humanity's revelation, as news of the Council's defeat spread through quantum communication networks that connected thousands of civilizations. President So-young stood before the assembled representatives of 47 species, who had gathered at the first Galactic Assembly held on neutral ground in the Centauri system. The age of Council domination is over, she announced to beings who had never imagined they would witness such a transformation in their lifetimes. Today we begin building a new order based on mutual respect rather than fear. Admiral Vextar sat among the defeated Council representatives wearing restraints that prevented access to weapons or communication devices while facing charges of crimes against numerous species. The once proud alien commander had been forced to watch human ships escort surviving Council vessels to internment facilities where they would await trial for centuries of oppression. Sub-Commander Keelana shifted through colors that indicated shame and confusion as her crystalline form reflected the lights of the assembly chamber. The Velnari hegemony formally requests amnesty in exchange for complete disclosure of Council military installations, she announced in musical tones that carried no trace of her former arrogance. Her request was one of dozens as former Council species rushed to ally themselves with humanity before the new galactic order was fully established. Fleet Admiral Jihoon reviewed reports from human forces throughout the galaxy, where liberation fleets were dismantling Council infrastructure with precision that impressed even their former enemies. Mortai. Collective forces have secured the Outer Rim territories, he reported during a secure briefing with the human leadership. Their hidden fleet includes over 20,000 vessels using technology comparable to our own. The Mortai had been pretending to be primitive nomads for over 2 centuries while secretly developing weapons that could challenge Council supremacy. Zenthi Republic has revealed manufacturing capabilities that rival our own shipyards, added Defense Minister Kun Wu while reviewing intelligence reports. They maintained the deception even longer than we did. Species after species emerged from hiding with advanced technology and military forces that had been concealed from Council observation for decades or centuries. Dr. Minseo coordinated with alien scientists who had been secretly developing countermeasures to Council weapons while pretending to accept their technological inferiority. The Kethtar Empire's own research division had been working on infiltration, protocols similar to our own. She reported with professional interest. Their nanoscale technology approaches our current capabilities. Even Admiral Vextar's own species had been conducting secret research into ways to overthrow the Council structure that oppressed them along with everyone else. Commander Hyun-sik found himself appointed as humanity's first galactic ambassador, with responsibilities that included negotiating treaties with species that controlled hundreds of star systems. The Terran Accords will establish new principles for interstellar relations, he announced during his first official address to the Galactic Assembly. No species will be forced into tributary status or compelled to serve others. The Accords represented a complete reversal of Council policy, as they guaranteed the sovereignty of member species while establishing mutual defense agreements. Captain In-Su commanded the new joint patrol fleets that included vessels from a dozen species working together to maintain peace in regions formerly controlled by Council forces. His stealth ships worked alongside Mortai Void Hunters and Zenthi Phase Fighters in formations that demonstrated the possibility of true galactic cooperation. Former Council territories are being liberated at the rate of 50 systems per day, he reported while monitoring the systematic dismantling of the oppression infrastructure. Commander Se Ram led training exercises where human officers taught allied species how to coordinate their different technologies into effective combined operations. Her Dragon-class ships worked with crystalline Velnari vessels and organic Kethtar bioships in maneuvers that would have been impossible under Council doctrine. Integration proceeding ahead of schedule, she reported while watching alien and human crews learning to operate each other's equipment, tactical coordination improving daily. The galaxy discovered that diversity of technology and approach created stronger defensive capabilities than the rigid standardization the Council had enforced. President So Young received delegations from species that had been extinct according to Council records, but had actually been hiding in remote regions while maintaining their cultures. The primal collective thought to have been eliminated 8 centuries ago has maintained a population of over 3 billion individuals, reported the intelligence summary. Their biotechnology exceeds anything in our databases, species. After species emerged from concealment as word spread, that the Council could no longer punish those who had resisted their authority. Admiral Ji-hoon established the new Galactic Defense Command, with headquarters on Luna, where officers from dozens of species work together to prevent future oppression. No single species will ever again dominate galactic civilization, he announced during the formal activation ceremony. The combined strength of free peoples will guarantee our mutual security. The facility included research divisions where human and alien scientists collaborated on technologies that surpassed anything individual species had developed alone. Dr. Minseo led joint research projects that combined human quantum processing with multi-dimensional manipulation and Zenthi phase technology to create entirely new capabilities. Collaborative research is producing results that exceed our most optimistic projections, she reported while monitoring experiments that promised to revolutionize galactic technology. Former Council worlds requested membership in the new Federation as their populations learned about the freedoms that other species had been fighting to preserve. Application for membership received from 437 former Council systems, reported the diplomatic staff while processing the largest expansion in galactic history. Each application was reviewed carefully to ensure that former oppressor species were genuinely committed to the principles of mutual respect and cooperation. Commander Hyun-sik traveled throughout the galaxy, establishing diplomatic relations with species that had never been allowed to interact freely under Council rule. Cultural exchange programs are revealing technologies and philosophies that were suppressed for millennia, he reported while visiting the artistic guilds of the Harmony worlds. The galaxy was experiencing a renaissance of creativity and innovation as species shared knowledge that had been hoarded under the Council's restrictive policies. Admiral Vextar and the other Council leaders faced tribunals where the evidence of their crimes filled databases that required quantum storage systems to contain testimony from 8,000 worlds document systematic oppression spanning over 2 millennia, announced the prosecutor while presenting evidence that shocked even hardened observers. The trials revealed the scope of Council brutality, including the complete destruction of species that had refused to submit to their authority. Sub-Commander Kailana provided evidence that helped convict her former superiors while accepting responsibility for her own role in the oppression. The Velnari hegemony will pay reparations to all species harmed by our participation in Council crimes, she announced, while her crystalline form shifted to colors indicating genuine remorse. Many former Council species made similar commitments as they worked to rebuild relationships with those they had oppressed. President So Young addressed the galaxy from Earth during the first anniversary of the Council's defeat, while representatives from over 3,000 species listened. 1 year ago, the galaxy believed that oppression was the natural order of advanced civilization, she said while looking out at an audience that included beings from across known space. Today we have proven that cooperation creates strength that no tyrant can overcome. The celebration included demonstrations of joint military exercises where human ships worked alongside vessels from hundreds of species in formations that celebrated their diversity fleet. Admiral Ji-hoon watched these exercises from his flagship New Seoul while monitoring reports from patrol fleets that maintained peace throughout the galaxy. No significant threats detected in any sector. He reported with satisfaction, the Liberation fleets have successfully eliminated the last Council strongholds. The galaxy had been transformed from a realm of fear and oppression into a community of free species working together for mutual benefit. Dr. Min Seo presented research results that showed how collaborative science was solving problems that had challenged galactic civilization. For thousands of years, joint research has produced cures for diseases that affected dozens of species, she announced, while displaying medical advances that saved millions of lives. Shared knowledge benefits everyone. The former Council territories had been transformed into thriving regions where species worked together on projects that benefited entire sectors. Commander Se-ram led the graduation ceremony for the first class of Joint Military Academy cadets who represented the future of galactic defense. These officers will serve in integrated fleets where diversity of thought and technology creates capabilities no single specialization